Tuesday, everyone, and welcome to the Gundam Roundtable, where I, of course, am Ironcaster, here to talk about some big bots. And really, if we're going to talk about any big bots, of course, it might as well be the biggest of the bots, the most famous of the one of them all. That is, of course, the Gundam. Tuesday, I'm ready to get into this. Let's not waste around. Let's jump to some guests. Hey, Fenrir. How we doing?
Hey man, doing all right.
Sounds like robots put you to sleep.
No, it's just that I'm angry. But I don't want to release it over the fact this episode gives us blue balls. It goes into premise we've been all waiting for a long time. It does nothing with it.
Look, you gotta set the stage. I mean, look, we got to see everyone's favorite Mantis Man show up.
Yeah. And wait, is he? I didn't actually understand. Was he dead or was he just knocked out?
We could probably get into that a little bit, but this is the part where Chris would no doubt be here to tell you about how. Oh well, you see, actually in the canon,
Chris.
it would,
I missed the guy. Super weird that he got hit in that weird truck zoo animal monkey poop accident. Super weird. We should give him a moment of silence. Okay, the moment's over. No one cares that long. Right from the floor.
well, the alternative is the alternative would be him going something about back hair for me, which I don't get where that one came from, but he's like insistent like this is a thing, this is a meme. It's like no, this is just your thing.
Yeah, he's not here, so let us honor him by ignoring him. So, let's go.
Oh, you're the nicest.
Yes, I am.
Well, we're getting closer. We're almost at the end. We got another six episodes.
Yeah.
Well then, should we get into it then?
Yeah, sure.
Roll that beautiful bean footage.
Let's get things started! Gundam fight all set! Ready? Go!
So this is the part of the show where we now get into the episode of the week, entitled number 37, or 36 if you don't count for the one missing episode, entitled "The Duel in Texas."
I really thought they were gonna do an actual text, like somehow go back to Earth and actually duke it out.
Oh, like a cowboy old west shootout.
Yeah,
That would be pretty
they
awesome.
do have guns on those things, so
So before we even get the title crawl to this episode, we get our narrator giving us a little bit of information about what's going on here in the episode, in which the news of the defeat of the loss of Solomon and Dozo Zabi has gone back to the higher ups of the Zeon forces, with yet another son of Zabi lost. They they're off declaring that they will win via the means of Boaku. What that is, we don't quite know yet, but we'll find out shortly.
yes, yes, foreshadowing that they believe to be intelligent, but it's not that great.
Of course, we get our opening shot. Beyond that, of the actual lost base itself, and what I thought was actually, it's a little bit of that kind of saving of the budget, where this is mostly still footage, still imagery. It cuts a good photo though, just row upon row of high-ranking Xeon officials. And it does a good enough job, I think, to remind you that there is a war effort on, and they have a lot of forces left, though maybe not as many as before.
Eesh. This is where he
Meanwhile, with
sleeps.
meanwhile with the white base, everyone is still kind of recuperating from the battle. Uh, Bright is, fast asleep at his station because we can't quite afford to send him off, apparently, to get a nap in.
Now, be ready for battle.
We get
Even if it's careful, don't be control.
we get a moment of Frau and Amuro sitting together to talk about it, to kind of reminisce about the fact that they haven't had a chance to really get into it and talk about their about any chance of them having been together for a while. Oh
Yeah,
yeah, hey
Amuro,
Chris.
he is as dense as stone.
Yeah, so we get a little bit of kind of down talk here with Amuro and Frau, where, like I said, they haven't really had a chance to talk much. It's a kind of just kind of upkeep of, so how are we still doing? Are we still good? And them kind of reminiscing, reflecting on the growth that they've had to go about.
Yeah, children, the soldiers who killed. Blood is on their hands. That blood never cleans off. Not even soap.
Yeah. Oh dear. Yeah. It's like, well, the war didn't exactly give them much of a choice. They've had to kill or be killed here.
Yeah.
And we also get a little inquiry into how's Hayato doing, who is going to survive. Meanwhile, they do get a little bit of we get a little bit of a expansion on the region and mention of Texas colony, which we find out was a quite devastated colony that that didn't quite get installed right, and as a result, uh, a lot of the humanity has basically abandoned this one for the sake of other colonies, which kind of also helps it fit the Wild West aesthetic, sort of vibe of the episode is going for.
So it's pretty much Space Mexico.
Space Texas.
Eh.
We're going to Space Texas, boys.
Yeah.
Which the colony, I should also point out, is surrounded by a lot of asteroids and rocks and debris, which makes it a rather difficult one to travel around. We then cut over to the Zanzibar with Shar and Lala, where they're given this bit of backstory to the colony itself. That, by and large, like I mentioned, most people have fled it. And again, we get a little bit of Lala's backstory here of how she's been more or less well looked after, and thanks to Shar's interference, thanks to Shar stepping in to look after her. But also, we're getting this build up with Lala that she soon will be fighting, that she'll have to be accustomed to battle, that using the special powers of hers, the special abilities, she could be a useful asset on the battlefield.
Yes, and I enjoy how she begins to sense that out there isn't.
You're coming in a little inconsistent, Fenrir, for voice.
Oh yeah, well, I said that I'm starting to enjoy the fact that she has these kind of feeling sensations that out there is another.
Yep, she's almost alien in a way. It seems like, as far as all the other people are. I mean, where she's got this sixth sense about her that she's able to reach out. She's able to uh, reach out and, in a way, touch Amuro.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's it's an interesting change on things where this is kind of one of the things you kind of get hinted at over the series kind of going forward whenever the whole new type phenomenon comes up is it always kind of is hinting towards the idea that the new types will be the next step of evolution, that they're the next step of humanity in space, and that they can also move it. Bow chicka wow wow. I don't know where I'm going with this. Yeah, space porn is apparently going to be a new industry using
Well,
psychics.
ah, damn it, dude. You can't say stuff like that.
Yeah, you got to be kind of careful, especially when you don't necessarily know how old anime characters are. It's like, oh, should we be? No,
I mean, I
it's a
think she's the
500-year-old dragon. Trust me, it's okay to lewd this cartoon.
yeah, but I think she's as old as Char, and he's like what, 21? I think it's okay.
Yeah, apparently Char's okay to lewd. I mean, the show has had no problem doing that for him. We've gotten him in the bathtub. Yeah. So, on this awkward note, we get to move ahead a little bit. Uh, Char is planning to mostly sit back to let Makuve handle the issue of the white base. Also because his mobile suit is not ready yet. And so the white base, meanwhile, has decided to start sending out some reinforcements. They'll send out the G armor with
Gundam.
not Mirai. Uh, sending it out with Amuro and Mirai. Or well, no, Sayla.
Sailor.
It's
James,
names.
you owe me a Coke.
Dang it. Fine, you can get it from Makuve. How about that?
I don't trust him with my drink.
Yes, I meant to say Sayla. Oh, don't worry. He's got something stored away in his little vase here. He can give you. Don't worry.
Doesn't help much.
So you're getting a little bit of the sophistication of Makuve here, that we haven't really, that while we have to some extent got, you really get it laying on thick. He's concerned about this vase and really seeming to show that affection towards it.
He's gonna be very kind of just bastard and angry child.
Well, I mean, he's a big foil, a big counter to Dozel from before. Whereas Dozel was very brash, gruff, man among men. Makuve here is cut from another cloth, and so I think it's a good balance to show that when it comes to Gundam, the Zeon forces aren't all of one mind. We've seen this time and time again. We've seen them from all different sorts. Makuve is suave, sophisticated. He's a planner. He thinks ahead. He's someone who you will underestimate,
The strategy.
and will not hesitate to take advantage of an opportunity to get at you. So yes, Mukuve would probably give you that Coke, Fenrir. It might be poisoned.
That's why I'm not gonna drink it. Throw it into the plant and see what happens.
Hey, Anime, what Gundam live stream? Let's go!
Hey, Anime, how's it going?
Here, let me play a clip for you. There we go. Yeah, I put little clips together sometimes. Although Shar hasn't quite left the building yet. He doesn't even have the mobile suit yet. Where'd he get that?
Again, this episode, huge blue balls.
Don't worry, he's got a new suit coming. In fact, I might have to get me a new suit while I'm at it.
Yeah, let's just move forward and leave Mr. Mantis face for a minute.
He's still just as creepy though. Although I kind of like this. I kind of like this close up better. While he still has that skeletal kind of face about him, Mukuve doesn't look. Mukuve doesn't look like his eyelids close sideways.
Yeah, this one's more human. My theory is they were tired of getting all the complaints about scaring children.
Apparently, you were on that letter writing campaign.
I did send something, but I don't think they got it.
Don't worry. Oh, don't you worry. Mukuve can't hurt you anymore. Well, it's the future. He's not gone yet. You might need to watch out.
I got a shotgun.
Because Mukuve, you see, is out for the prowl. He's out to hunt himself. He's not just someone who's going to sit back and do nothing. Especially considering the guy has his own mobile suit. It's like, well, but I didn't just collect all these resources and have this suit custom built for me to not use it. So he's going to go out in his own suit, the Gian. Which is a great design. Holy crap. This thing very much has that sort of sophisticated vibe about it like Mukuve does. This sort of French dueling knight, I think. And of course we get a couple, and he's not going to go out by himself. No. He's got to have a few Doms to go with him. Which, by the way, in this screenshot looks so freaking good. Like, just that little bit of shading on them. Like, yeah, some would say it's kind of an easy way out to add detail, but I think it works. Just kind of bask in that for a moment. And with that, he heads off. And this is a chance to properly see, for the full size of it, how big, the size of the GAN. You get to see the equipment it has, including its own shield, which we really haven't got to see much of that with Zeon. Although, worth pointing out, he does sort of have the sword drawn and powered up, which they probably didn't need that, but it looks cool, I think. Fenrir?
Yeah.
Oh, you just got really quiet there. I was a little worried I lost you,
Yeah,
buddy.
I'm waiting for you to talk to you to tell me to like.
You're muffled.
Oh, come on. What the hell? I was getting muffled.
So Mukuve tends to head out with it to go and prove himself to Lady Kycilia, which
And just suck it up to Star's ass.
I have to wonder if he's not. Yeah, it kind of leaves you to wonder a little bit about Mukuve. While he's not like Dozel or or even Garma, who would necessarily fight for just the general cause of Zeon. Makuve's someone who he fights for those he's allied with, which in this case is first and foremost Kycilia Zabi, and after that, anyone else who might be on his side, maybe. But make no mistake, you're a stepping stone. You're a tool to be used if you trust him. And by the way, yeah, he's got a pretty good sized force about him. About 7-8 Doms with him, which really for Amuro is not a massive force. I mean, the only part to really worry about is Makuve. You have a strategist who's you're going up against. That's gonna be about the worst of it. They fight. Do I have that still? Oh, of course I don't. And they begin one by one eliminating many of these Doms. It's, your typical battle, though you do get a sense with it as the fight goes on. Amuro's been kind of commenting about how he's able to basically foresee a lot of their movements. That this is the actions. This is that new type element kicking in for him, to where a lot of this is really not a challenge anymore. As he's making swift moves, he's able to predict what they're going to do. These guys are nothing for Amuro now. Where are we at? No. Oh yeah, this is if I could get the video working, I would have thrown this up. But one of the Doms that's lost an arm, nearly destroyed. He's able to sense coming, quickly kicks it aside, shoots it up in the sky, blast it. It is a delight to watch the battle here. But ultimately, it's all just a distraction, as Makuve wants them to maneuver and draw the Gundam in closer, to draw them to Texas Colony. So we get a brief reprieve from the battle as we cut to Hayato, who's laying in bed and he's surviving, but he doesn't like the fact that he's left to sit and do nothing. And given his recent complaints, this ultimately is the sort of thing that Hayato would hate. That he feels like he's being left behind. He wants to compete with Amuro. He wants to beat Amuro. He wants to be as good as Amuro or better. And he's left to sit in a sickbed. This has got to be driving the guy nuts. And I get that, especially after the last two episodes where we saw him nearly die in battle. And have that moment. Meanwhile, over in Texas Colony, we get more of the sort of history of things here. That some of the mirrors that were supposed to be installed to help reflect and control the sunlight so that they can better control it for weather malfunctioned, and as a result, this has become a very rough, very tough environment to live in, because the sun wasn't reflected properly. The land got baked. The land was just ruined and left to despair. As a result, the people left. Many of the people left, and so we get very much a Old West sort of vibe out of it, with horse-drawn carriages, I didn't expect that space would need a whole lot of horse-drawn carriages, but yet here we are. Lala and Char, meanwhile, are, as I said, they head along, and you get a bit of their backstory, that of that closeness of these two, where Char wants to help her be a with a help wants to help her do better, to become the excellent pilot that he believes she's going to be, with her abilities, with her knowledge, this psychic power of hers, the psychic ability to sort of reach out and, to a degree, see the future. That we do see in practice with Amuro in this episode. Surely, if she was nurtured and looked after and helped to improve this, she could become a fearsome threat. And in the next episode or two, we will get to see that. Are you alright, Fenrir? Let me shoot him a message. And hopefully he'll get back to me, because we're gonna fly solo for the moment. Well then. So Lala, using her powers, she's kind of reaching out and she's getting a sense of the fighting that's going on around them, which really comes kind of pushes that sort of alien sense of her, where she's almost seems really detached from the world. She isn't like other people. So meanwhile, in space, we of course get more of the battle as Dom after Dom are going down. Even Sayla is getting in her licks. And floating on one of the rocks nearby is Mikuve in his suit. He's been waiting for them, wanting to lure the Gundam in, because surely the one who can defeat him can defeat the Gundam in the white base. All of those will earn a 2-rank promotion, they say. So the risk is worth the reward, especially after all the embarrassments and the loss of troops to the white base, to the Gundam. Of course you have to go for it. This is war. And so luring the Gundam over, Mikuve backs the right time and uses a rigged up asteroid to explode, tries to get the Gundam in that. Obviously it doesn't work, and so he's forced to keep luring the Gundam in, because surely one trap wasn't going to be enough. No, Mikuve has set trap after trap after trap. And you get to see here that Mikuve's shield isn't all just for pure protection, because those little holes on it are, in fact, like, are laced with a bunch of needles to launch out, so even his shield is a trap, is a weapon. There's nothing about this man you should trust. And so finally, Amuro is drawn in. He's answering the phone. Of course, right when it's always going on. All right, take a moment. Get this. And we'll start again. I think Fenrir's alive. You right there? No? Ooh, I hope he didn't fall asleep again. I'm just gonna pull you to the back for right now, and just in case. So, Amuro is, of course, drawn into the Texas colony, being lured in by a trap. Char, meanwhile, along with Lala, are heading off to go and collect his new mobile suit, because it's been about 5 episodes. It's time for Char to get a new suit. And so while he's going to hop up and load up into his new mobile suit, he wants Lala to steer nearby to watch and learn from the battle. Because there's only so much you can really see on TV, especially when they have the ability to, cut away and show what they want to show. It's not the same as actually being on a battlefield. No, this is for Lala's next step of her training, to now get onto the battlefield, to, after this, be in a mobile suit, to be a participant. So for now, she's just to stop and watch, to keep learning, keep watching. Meanwhile, the white base and some of the Xeon forces are changing blows back and forth from long distance with asteroids for cover. So they opt to go and send out the gun cannon so we can get more battles in space, because it's another chance to recycle some footage. And so Kai is launched. The Gundam, meanwhile, while all this is going on, is finally gone through the multiple layers that separate the wastelands of Texas colony from the cold depths of space. However, as I've stated before, Mikuve is someone who's laid many, many traps, and of course has yet another one planned. This time being a bomb with a trigger switch, so that as the door opens here and it slowly raises up, it would eventually trigger, and could be another way to get at the Gundam. This, of course, fails because Amuro has protagonist armor. And so we finally get to see that next shot. The shot of the Gelgoog, Char's new suit, which, of course, painted red. As are all his suits in Gundam. One of the... Well, I feel it's ultimately not as iconic, because looking at it, it has a bit of a... It has the kind of drawn-in thin waist to it. It just really, there's kind of, in a way, while at the same time it's a simple design, it's ultimately has a lot going on for it that doesn't really stand out, because you don't have a lot to... Well, a lot of this here is a lot of just all the same kind of color red, some black in there, yeah, but nothing to really stand out. Yeah, the head and shoulders are a different color, but it just looks like it's wearing one piece. It doesn't look as intimidating. And I think that's kind of one of the things that hurts it, that this doesn't stand out like the Zaku does, like the Zigok, or the Goof, or the Dom. While those all have a lot more to them with color, this needs a bit something more. Like, even if they like did something with the waist there to kind of help differentiate that and even make that look like a belt, that could be something, I think. The Gelgoog is a design I think is flawed and needs a redesign or a bit more color. Amuro, meanwhile, is fighting Mikuve. Now he's on and fully into the lair of this lair of Mikuve, fighting him with all his traps and tricks, with his shields to be used to attack, even from the defense. And Mikuve's even gone and planted all these little mines so that so that Amuro doesn't have as much of the free movement that he might have had before. Mikuve has set the stage for the battle. Ultimately, these mines don't really amount to much in the way of damage to the Gundam, but it's enough to help maneuver and put Amuro where Mikuve wants him to be, which in this case is not floating in the 0G in the middle of the colony anymore, but no, now we're on the ground. Let's try to control the Gundam's movement. And also, as you get to see that, yeah, this is still those close colonies where you have the full 360 of land all around. So it kind of messes with you a little bit, I think, where you may not even remember or realize it at initially how there's land right above you. Like, it's got to be really confusing to think about that, to go to that from Earth. I don't know, it was just kind of a cool shot I wanted to at least point at and say, hey, this is a interesting terrain to really think about for the sake of battle. And you get to see, of course, just the state of Texas Colony. This is not a place anyone would want to stay long. However, it is also a good place, the perfect place, I would say, to have a duel. But we can't just have Mikuve. No, we have to, we got a new suit with Zeon. Char has something to show off. Let's send it out. This is where we get to see more of that battle between the two of them. The forces of the White Base and the Zeon ships out in space. As they keep ducking their heads out and fighting. There's really not too much to say about it, because we're not here to watch we're not here to watch the spaceships. We want to see the robots. We want to see our anime protagonist being a protagonist. Because he's currently fighting a battle, fighting that duel against a deadly foe. Amuro fights. Amuro narrowly avoids getting shot by the Gelgoog, by Char, who Amuro doesn't realize is piloting it. Though, let's be fair. If you saw a red mobile suit coming at you and Char's out there, you might be willing to expect that, yeah, this is probably Char. Speaking of checking, you doing okay there, Fenrir? Didn't message me? Thought I'd try to pop you in and see if you're there. Of course he's not. But we'll let him sit in the back. Let's see, kind of check done my notes. Char moves to try and help him, but to help M'Quve, but M'Quve turns it down. This is his opportunity to shine, his chance to take out the Gundam and to win. After all, he's been planning this, and he doesn't need the Gundam. He doesn't need Char to show up and either steal glory or mess up his plans. Either way, he doesn't need him. So he says. So you get to see here that sort of that jousting, that dueling I was talking about, where M'Quve's thrusting and not giving Amuro a chance to go on the offensive because he's always having to try to avoid the attacks. As it stands, Amuro is actually being forced to pull back, to have to go on that defensive. Though he doesn't have a shield. He doesn't have that to even help protect him now. So this is a further raising the stakes for Amuro. He doesn't have that defense against someone who's pushing, not giving him that chance to push back. And unfortunately, his blaster here isn't doing as much good. Especially now that M'Quve, who studied him, knows roughly how much ammo he uses. He knows he's out. M'Quve's done his homework. He knows what to expect here. Out in space, meanwhile, we get to see Kai being a bit of a badass himself and not being a pushover. We've seen this many times, and now he's going toe to toe with Rick Doms like they're nothing. Everyone has gotten better. Kai, Sayla, the whole White Base crew. We then cut back to our duel going on. As Lala watches and gets a sense of what's going on. She sits back and wonders, why doesn't Char help? Why isn't Char doing anything? But Char, M'Quve, they have their prize. They have there's no love between the two, so there's no sense of need to help out and try to help save him. He's someone who's clearly not out. While they both fight under the same flag, they're not allies to that same extent. And so Lala reaches out and touches Amuro's mind. Now, by this point, Amuro's drawn out his second saber and begins to cut through the Gian and tells Amuro the fighting's done. You've won. This thing has been pierced. The fighting's over. You can stop. M'Quve, meanwhile, with his last moments, is reaching out to his second in command, of all things, worrying about that honor and that prestige with Caecilia, to, of all things, send her a valuable vase, because M'Quve is someone who puts these resources and these valuables above all else. His job was collect resources, collect the wealth. Wealth is his top priority for status, for that prestige. With M'Quve's Gian beginning to explode, Char jumps up to go and protect Lala, so that as the shields on his suit begin to blow, the reactor explodes, he can at least protect Lala. And we get a nice little mushroom cloud. Amuro, meanwhile, is starting to kind of is reaching back out and wonders, who was this that reached out to me? As he slowly puts the name together. Lala? So the episode ends with this Duel 1. Amuro, with us now left to wonder what's to come with these powers, this new type phenomenon that we've heard so much of. What could this actually mean on a battlefield? We've gotten our hints of it, but we haven't got to see it properly in combat. And so that was the Duel in Texas. Overall, I think it's an okay episode. It was fun to see Makuve fight. And I guess to sort of draw it to a close. So with this episode, there was a lot of neat imagery. Getting to see the fights is always a lot of fun. Makuve, I felt, didn't have the best ending. Because of the whole vase thing, which is ultimately just really silly. But I like how he fought. He was a threat who was able to set a stage to always make it seem like he's almost there. He's almost got him beat. He's able to draw Amuro into a trap. A trap within a trap within a trap. This is someone who you need to be careful of. This is one of the most dangerous people to fight. Especially for someone who's, frankly, isn't a huge strategist himself. Amuro's ultimately a bull in a china shop. He'll just go in and do his thing. I almost would have liked to see a bit more of the white base crew in it, because they're just kind of around. And a lot of stuff, I don't know, I feel like it could have been better set the stage for. But ultimately, like a 7. There's things in the episode I liked, and some things that I thought could have been improved on. This is different. I'm not used to not having like a game or something going on. So this is something I feel like I have to get better at, to be able to just talk, which is not what I'm used to. So I guess we should probably draw things to a close here. Check in with Fenrir one more time.
Yeah.
Oh, hey, you're awake.
Yeah.
Okay. It seemed like you kind of passed out on me there.
I'm having some problems on my. I don't know what the heck's wrong here.
Ooh. Do you want to give a kind of any final thoughts to the episode?
I enjoyed fighting. Hated the blue freaking ball. The next chapter made her have something to fix with it.
So, what do you give the episode?
9.5 out of 10.
Really? Is this because Makuve died?
Yeah. But it was a good episode.
That's a high score, I think. I think Makuve is like a great villain because he's someone who's planned ahead. He's had time to set up and prepare a trap.
Yeah. Like many of their other adversaries, he's a great strategist.
I mean, not to that same extent. I mean, when you compare Makuve to someone like Rambaral, Ramba Rao was someone who is a good guerrilla fighter. He could probably set up a good plan, but Makuve is someone who's able to uh, able to better lay one out with a larger logistics. He is a bureaucrat who is still able to fight, and I think that makes Makuve a more dangerous foe. Whereas Arambarel is good for setting out to do a job. Makuve is someone who
good for leadership.
Yes, and as I mean, we've seen him hold forces back. Makuve, kept special toys for himself. I mean, hell, we saw the Gian getting deployed here for the first time.
Indeed. But yeah, I still stand on 9.5.
Okay. So next week we'll get to see a bit of some of the Sayla stuff coming about, which would be something to look forward to. We get to see a little bit. Starting to see some of the stories starting to get closure as we're starting to wrap up with the last 6-7 episodes.
Yeah.
Less than 2 months and we'll be out of this.
Yeah.
Oh, and because we didn't get one this week.
Play that.
No, I didn't get it. I was so caught up just talk. I thought you had fallen asleep. Well, speaking of getting out of here, ready to get out of here?
Yeah.
All right. I'll hit the button and we'll get going.
Wow.